So as you can see now, the Vulcan team is just prepping the aircraft ready for the engine start, and the general public have arrived for the day that they've paid for, and it's going to be an exciting time.
Welcome to the Vulcan engine run experience. Liam from Perseverance Scenery Developers is here to conduct a special interview with the Vulcan Trust to see and hear the legendary Vulcan. This interview is part commitment Liam has made to donate the funds from the sales of his version of Doncaster Sheffield Airport for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024.
Hi everyone, my name's Liam, lead developer for Perseverance Scenery Developers. Currently I'm at Doncaster Sheffield Airport to interview the Vulcan Sky Trust. Here we have the CEO,
Craig Shepherd.
And today we're obviously going to see a live engine run and a demonstration from the Vulcan team. So Craig, what is the Vulcan Sky Trust about?
Well, we're here to preserve and ensure that the education... Do you want me to talk to you?
You can talk to me.
We're here obviously to preserve the Vulcan XH558, which is just behind us. Beautiful British made jet from obviously the Cold War period as a Cold War bomber, but a fantastic jet. And it's our duty to preserve 558 for the wider public, but also to learn from. You know, there's kids coming through that, you know, weren't born when she was flying for the RAF, and we've got an opportunity by being able to look after her properly to preserve the future as well, with these kids coming through to inspire them and the next generations. So, I mean, that's our duty ultimately, is to educate and inspire, but also nod to the heritage of the fantastic British-made kit that's behind us.
So obviously that's covered the second question, which is the aim of the Vulcan Trust. So obviously when it closed, how did that impact you guys and how did you bounce back?
Yeah, massively. We were in one of the hangars. We were operating really well, generating the fundraising that we need to keep going. And you know, she is very expensive to look after. There's no doubt about that. But obviously, not being able to be in a hangar, the business basically collapsed overnight. We weren't able to do even engine runs like today. We weren't able to do engine runs for a couple of years. And it shaves off a huge amount of our fundraising opportunities. So it's amazing that she's even actually still around today. The trust realistically shouldn't be here, but thanks to the generosity and support of the wider public, who obviously clearly love 558 or aviation in general, we're able to continue doing our great work in the communities, in our local schools, and we want to spread that across the whole of the UK. At the moment, we're very kind of South Yorkshire centric, but we do want to grow what we do, and we want to grow it further afield.
So in the Sky Trust, you told me you've got 2 aircraft. What are the 2 that you've got?
We've actually got 3, surprisingly. The other aircraft that we've got, other than 558, is the English Electric Canberra WK163. Now, the Canberra that we have is the exact Canberra that broke the world altitude record in 1957 when it flew above 70,000 feet. And there are actually Canberras today that are used, different variants of the Canberra, but Canberras that are used by NASA for high altitude testing. So again, a different type of jet, but absolutely an amazing British-made jet all the same. And we've also got another English electric Canberra that's currently sat on Lampson Airport in California, gathering dust at the moment, unfortunately. But we want to repatriate the front end of WT327 across to the UK, because that nose is actually the original nose that broke the world altitude record back in 1957, and we'd love to reunite the nose with 163, which obviously would be a fantastic story. And if we can achieve that by August of next year, it would be nice to celebrate the 70th anniversary of that world altitude record, having done so. So there's plenty going on. There's lots of things we're working towards, but yeah, we actually own 3 jets.
Yeah. So obviously the future is the big thing that we're looking at. We're looking for very positive news. So what do you expect in the future, or would you like in the future for the Vulcan here?
Yeah, amazing. There's nothing but positivity at the moment. It's we've got a great relationship with Doncaster Sheffield Airport. They've allowed us now to restart our engine runs and visitor experiences. Without that, that's much needed revenue that we wouldn't be able to generate. But also we're speaking to them about heads of terms at the moment on a parcel of land that will allow us to build our permanent home. And that will allow us to create a visitor attraction that thousands of people are going to experience on an annual basis. We're talking about members of the public from all over the world could potentially fly into Doncaster Airport on a private flight, come and see us. We've got local schools, we've got local air cadet groups, just general public from all over the UK that could come and see us. And each visit will generate revenue for us to keep doing what we're doing and to preserve 558 that little bit further. So yeah, absolutely fantastic opportunities ahead of us. It is dependent on us getting that new home, but we're making great strides on that. But we seem very focused on that. But it was 2017 that she was last under cover. We left our hangar in 2017 at relatively short notice, and haven't been able to operate like we were supposed to operate since then. So for us, we're coming up to 10 years without a cover over our head. It's got to change. And we're now having conversations that will allow us to do that, which is just amazing.
So obviously going back to the financial side of it, how do you generate the income that you need to keep an aircraft like this alive? Yeah,
lots of different ways, to be honest. The general public and their generosity, it blows me away personally. And I know that our volunteers, they give up a lot of their time. Our staff, work tirelessly for the mission. But it doesn't just stop at general public fundraising. It doesn't just stop there. We have e-commerce, which every product that we sell, which is Vulcan related, there is a profit margin that is then reinvested back into the charity. So there's nobody getting rich. It's very much about everything that we generate goes back into the charity to allow us to do what we do and inspire the next generation, but also to preserve us. So and it is very expensive. Our insurances alone are in the 6-figure mark. So each year that goes round, if we want to insure, and obviously we have to, that's over £100,000 just on that. And the only reason we've got insurance is in case anything happens, and obviously it hasn't happened, so you could say it's a waste of money, but it wouldn't be if something did. So there's things like that people don't realise. You know, it's not just a case of sticking a roof over her head, a few volunteers to make sure that she's looked after and she's nice and shiny. She costs in the region of about 650,000 altogether per year to look after, in the form that we currently have her in. Now, if we were to pop her in a museum somewhere, and you know, she was to lose that regular maintenance, you wouldn't have the engine runs, you wouldn't have the potential of fast taxis in the future, you wouldn't have anything. You would just be able to turn up to that museum like you do with lots of other Vulcans around the country, and see them, and they're a great sight. But there's nothing that gets into your bones quite like an engine run will do. You know, when you hear that howl, it's something that stays with you forever, as it will today. You know, so and that's what people come and see. You know, it's absolutely paramount that we do preserve 558, but it's also paramount that we use this British-made jet to inspire the next generation. It's fantastic. So our income streams are multiple. We've got our e-commerce, we've got our regular donations, we've got our raffle, we've got our prize draw. You know, they all generate amounts of money that allow us to keep doing what we do.
Yeah. And to further that question, you've got the online store, which I've purchased something myself. So
brilliant.
There's some really good stuff on there. You can actually, there's parts of the Vulcan, I believe, on there.
Yeah.
You can actually own.
Yeah. We've got novelty items where, you know, the Vulcan brand is obviously paramount on those items, but then we also have, you know, Vulcan parts that we can sell. You know, she's not going to need them. They're excess, but we own them, and therefore, you know, you can own a part of the Vulcan. And so over the years, you know, those parts have sold really, really well. We've still got plenty more to go that we currently house down in Stratford. So yeah, absolutely, there's an opportunity there to do that. But also, we're open to new items. You know, if people have ideas on what they would like to see us sell that we don't already sell, send them in. You know, and if we can make it work and we can make it happen and it's affordable, we'll absolutely do that. So we are friends. You know, we're certainly not a cash cow. You know, we do appreciate each and every donation that comes into us, and we would never misuse that money. But absolutely, we're here to do more than just preserve her. We are here to educate the next generation.
Yeah. That's brilliant. So, bit of history of the Vulcan Trust. Obviously, you've been in how long?
Well, I only started in January, so I've been in post now for about 3.5 months at the time of speaking. So, which, you know, it feels a lot longer. But I've been blown away by the amount of open doors. You know, I was fully aware of the challenges that were ahead of us when I took the role, and obviously had that personal belief that I could make a difference. But I am genuinely surprised at all of the open doors that we've got. You know, it feels like we're making incredible progress, even though it's only been 3.5 month period, and it makes me think, what will 12 months look like? You know, if we look back in 12 months' time to today, what will we have achieved since April 2026? And that's quite exciting for me, given the conversations that we're currently having.
I think looking at everything, she's ready to go, as you stated.
Yeah.
Obviously, the aircraft, we had a conversation before, will it ever fly again?
The chances are no, and we do have to kind of be quite hard on the no. But there's a clear reason for that. So you've got your original engineering manufacturers, which were Rolls-Royce. Obviously, she has Olympus engines in there, which are Rolls-Royce made. Beautiful engines. Very rarely does anything go wrong with them. They're incredible. So Rolls-Royce. We also have British Aerospace and Marshall's Aerospace. Now, without those three, the CAA wouldn't grant us a ticket to fly. And that was ultimately why we stopped flying in 2015, was because, you know, she's an old jet, and there's new engineers coming through that haven't worked with heritage jets, and so to keep sponsoring 558 and others, but to keep sponsoring 558 as a manufacturer, there's an element of risk involved in that for them too. So we completely understand why they made the decision to, you know, stop her flying. Is she in a position where she could fly? Absolutely. Our engineering team will tell you directly that they could get her flying again, given the appropriate time and money in which to do that. But without a ticket to fly, she absolutely will never fly again. So there's a difference between being able to fly and whether she can. And at the moment, because we can't get a ticket to fly, that will never happen again.
Yeah. Obviously, it's always going to be here. It's still going to be at Doncaster Sheffield Airport. So if there's other events going on in there this month, I believe, for the engine runs. So if you have missed the engine runs today, there's other events that is available on the website. And is there anything that you would like to add on further on before you start the demonstration?
Not really. Just to keep watching this space. We are always having conversations. We're well supported.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that really do want to see her under a roof. Not just us. And we really appreciate everyone's support. So just again, thank you to the wider public for all of their generosity over the last probably 15, 20 years that we've been returning her to flight and then looking after her beyond that. So it is genuinely appreciated.
So if you want to hear more from Craig, which is the CEO of the Vulcan Trust, just go onto YouTube and you can find out. And I believe you've got a meeting on there. You do where you explain? Yeah,
we do something called Ask the CEO, which is just where if you've got a question, a burning question that you want to ask us, whether it's for me or whether it's for a member of the wider team, it doesn't matter. But that is on the website. If you go on our website and look for Ask the CEO, you can just submit a request, put your question in there, and we'll come back to you. We'll either come back to you direct, or we'll build it into our next episode of Ask the CEO, which will be in video form, which will then be uploaded to our own YouTube.
So that's it for today. Obviously, there's going to be more exciting stuff coming. You're going to see the Vulcan live engine start. And when we get back to the unit, we'll also get to show you some of the exciting stuff back at the unit at the Vulcan Trust.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
The camera now, so walking past the Vulcan. Just a little thing that we didn't mention on the interview. There's bits on the website that you can get. So on the website, you can actually get your name put onto the wings. So under the wings and under the loading doors, you'll see that there's loads of names, so you can pay to have it done. And this is an engine event, so they do host it quite regular. I think there's about 3 or 4 in a month. This is the second one that they're doing this year. So if you do want to come down here, just go to vulcanskytrust.org just to get your tickets. So walking past now, this is the Canberra. Again, even though I'm into aviation and I do fly the Cessnas, these are aircraft, military aircraft as well. That's out of my domain. So any knowledgeable stuff you can get through the website. So as you can see, the registration of this one is Whiskey Kilo 163. And mention it, if you refer back to the interview with Craig, he did talk about it is coming up to its anniversary, and it is a quite interesting bit of history on it. So at Perseverance Scenery Developers, the reason why I created it is not just for passion and not for money. It's to create different sceneries that people don't seem to want to focus on, or they've not focused on yet. I did start with Slantoft Airfield, and that's the prime location where I used to do my flying lessons. You can find that on Sim Market at a relatively decent price. Doncaster Sheffield Airport, when that's on, that will be on Sim Market. I have mentioned it to other vendors to get it on sale elsewhere. All the sales for Doncaster Sheffield Airport will go to the Vulcan Trust. As mentioned from the CEO, Craig at Vulcan Sky Trust, if you want to get your name on the bottom of the wing, they're just on the bottom here, so they're on both sides of the ports in the engine bay. And he did mention if you are interested to find your name, if you've already got the name on, he can tell you exactly where the location of your name is. So the next engine run or the event that you come on to visit the Vulcan, you can see the names at the bottom and find your name that you've had put on. So if you are interested in getting names put on, contact vulcanskytrust.org or contact them by their telephone. So you guys have just seen the engine run and the Vulcan team actively working on the Vulcan here at Doncaster Sheffield Airport. It's been a fantastic day, and I'd like to thank the Vulcan Trust for inviting us to come along. It's been a fantastic day to meet the people here. It's been absolutely fantastic. So as you can see, this airport is currently closed, but it will soon be open, and we'll see aircraft flying around here again soon. We're now coming to the stage where we feel that we're confident that we're going to be there, and I think the Vulcan team's happy, and they're happy about the future. They're looking forward to it. So again, thank you for watching this video, and if you like and subscribe on this video for this channel, and you'll get to see further updates on the project Doncaster Sheffield Airport, where all the donations will go to the Vulcan Trust. Thank you.